What's going on, everyone? My name is 8BitPreston and welcome back to the Sonic Retrospective. In the last episode we took a look at Sonic Adventure 2, a fan favourite of many and also a very critically acclaimed title at the time, and critics still love it even today. But in today's episode what we're going to be looking at is a very controversial title in the Sonic fanbase, as a lot of people find it a very, well, not very exciting game. Some think it's really good, some think it's not the sequel we deserved, you know. It ranges from good to bad to just straight up confusing. But either way, this is my opinion. So if you're here to get a critic's, opinion, then just go over to IGN and you'll see what they think. But anyways, without further ado, let's jump into Sonic Heroes. So with that brief introduction out of the way, let's talk about the plot. So Dr. Eggman has come back to challenge Sonic and crew again to defeat his new scheme. Sonic, Tails and Knuckles gladly accept and race off to tackle the Doc's latest plan. Meanwhile, Rouge the Bat swings in on one of Dr. Robotnik's old fortresses and discovers Shadow in a capsule. Oh, excuse me. After an odd encounter, Rouge, Shadow and E123 Omega join up to find out what happened to Shadow and to get revenge on Robotnik. At resort, Amy looks at an ad that shows Sonic in it with a Chow and a frog. After getting over boredom, Amy, Cream and Big decide to find Sonic and get what they want back. Elsewhere, in a rundown building, the Chaotix get a package that contains a walkie-talkie. Tempting them, Vector, Jam and SPL decide to work for this mysterious person so they can earn some money. And that is basically the main plot of each team summed up. And I'm not going to talk about the last story until we get to that, so let's talk about the gameplay. So Sonic Heroes remains a completely 3D platformer similar to the other Avengers title games, but this time there is a huge difference in the gameplay formula. Instead of playing through stages as each of the three characters separately, you now play as all three at the same time. And now this might sound very difficult to get your hand around, but it really isn't actually. It's really easy. All you have to do is switch to the designated character you want. So let's say you want to play Sonic, you just hit the button and you switch to Sonic. Same with Knuckles and Tails. And you press the action button, being B or square or whatever it is on the Xbox. I think it's still B, maybe X, I don't have a clue. And that just allows you to use their main attack or momentum ability, and then jump is still jump, and that's basically it. So the gist of the control is the exact same as the last games, and it is really easy influent to control. Something that I do see a lot of people complain about, however, is again the control. They say it's far too slippery and sometimes you can just flail off the stage with no fault of your own. But considering I have been playing this game for all my life, it's quite difficult for me to make a opinion that a lot of people can relate to, because I've been playing the game, like I said, for 14 years now. And if I make a statement saying the control's easy, a lot of people are going to disagree with me and say that's because you're experienced. And yes, well, it's my opinion, isn't it? So if you play the game, or you'll get adjusted to it yourself. Nothing just happens straight away. That's like saying you can jump into Final Fantasy VII knowing exactly what everything is, but no, you can't, because you need to sit down and learn it. There's nothing to rush here. Just Seaside Hill, the opening level, is the perfect level to test out your abilities and just get used and accustomed to the control, and it is extremely easy to do so. So the fact that a lot of people complain about this control, say it's too slippery, too fast, whatever, I just think they're being a bit silly personally, because the control, in my eyes, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. In my opinion, this is one of the best control schemes we've had in a Sonic game. It's just so fast paced, and it just feels like Sonic. It's fast, fluent, and I genuinely adore this control scheme. I do anything to get it back. There's nothing wrong with it at all. Well, apart from Shadow the Hedgehog when that got cranked up to 100. Anyways, so you play through 4 different stories in the game. You play through Team Sonic, Team Doc, Team Rose and Team Chaotix in any order respectively. Each of them have their own plots, which I've already summed up. Team Sonic, you play as Sonic, Knuckles and Tails as you travel through Actually, tell you what, this is basically a classic Sonic game, but in 3D. And if you don't know what I mean by that, look at the levels and how they're laid out. Stage 1, Seaside Hill. Stage 2, Ocean Palace, a continuation of the last stage with a very similar theme. Similar to how this is what happened in Sonic 2, Sonic 3. You play through the first zone, and the second zone is the exact same zone, but with a different colour palette or different mechanics. That's how the game works, which is it's really nice to see it harken back to the classic days, because a lot of people were saying they were missing the classic Sonic formula, and this is probably the closest we've got to a classic Sonic game in 3D for a long time now. I don't think any other game has attempted to do this other than Sonic Generations, which I'm not going to count. So this can be a fun experience for anyone really. But yeah, Team Sonic consists of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. Sonic is what you'd expect. He's fast. He's got a homing attack, and they replaced the spin dash for something called the Rocket XL, which is pretty useless. I'm not gonna lie, but once you pull it off, it can be pretty satisfying. And once you get Sonic at his top speed, it can be really fun. And the light speed dash works like a charm. Again, something a lot of people will disagree with. You know, everyone says, "Oh nah, the light speed dash is shit. It don't work half the time." Well, my friends, because you're doing it wrong. You can't just approach a trail of rings and just press the action button to do your light speed dash, because chances are you're going to either clip to the left or the right and fall off. You have to jump and then press it in mid-air, simply because when you're dashing forward, with the way the ledges work in this game, if you go up to a ledge, you're going to get stopped because there's an invisible wall there, and the game is aimed at like a younger audience, so it's going to be easier, so you need to jump. Tails is just your average flying character. You have to do a jump, and then if you hold jump after that or tap it, whatever you want, he does a little hover which allows you to traverse some spaces in a decent amount of time. When you press his action button, he does something called the Thunder Shoot, which is extremely overpowered at level 3. And something that I haven't explained yet is the level up system. Once you defeat an enemy or pass a checkpoint, you will get a level up for the character you did that with a checkpoint or whatever colour the orb is. And the faster, or should I say the higher level your character is, the more stronger and faster they will be. And Knuckles is what you do. You can jump and then hold the jump button to do a glide mechanic with all your team, which is slower than it was in Sonic Adventure 2. But again, he has to carry the other two, so you can't expect much. And also when you press the action button, he does 2 punches, and press it 3rd time and he'll do a ground pound, and depending on what level you are, something will shoot out of the ground. You can also jump and press that to do a kind of like a homing shot, but the team turn into fireballs, which is pretty nice, and it is easily Knuckles' most powerful attack. Each team also has a team blast, which when the meter is full, just hit the R1, Z button, or RT button, I think it is on the Xbox, and you'll unleash a devastating finishing move, and everyone in the surrounding area will be destroyed. With Team Sonic out the way, let's have a little discussion about Team Dark. Team Dark consists of Shadow the Hedgehog, Rouge the Bat, and newcomer E123 Omega. Now, the story begins, obviously, as I said earlier, with Rouge infiltrating a base and finding Shadow unconscious in a capsule. And many assume that this Shadow is the Shadow from Sonic Adventure 2, and Eggman managed to discover his body on Earth and was able to preserve it and bring him back to life. Shadow was actually going to remain dead, but because the fans were barking for him to come back in the next game, they found a way to revive him, and I think it was a pretty good excuse. And the one thing that is a little bit cliche is that Shadow has amnesia now. So what he does throughout the entirety of Team Dark's story is he and Omega are both hella bent on finding Eggman, because Shadow wants his memory and Omega wants revenge because he's kind of pissed at Eggman. And Rouge, well, she just wants treasure. You know, the same old. So what Shadow decides to do is find the Doctor. Well, actually they don't end up finding the Doctor, and when they do, he misses his chance. So this story essentially just sets up Shadow the Hedgehog, simply because, well, as I said, Shadow is now amnesia ridden, and we don't find out the answer to who he is in this game. So this entire story was just to set up Shadow the Hedgehog, which is kind of disappointing if you think about it, because Shadow the Hedgehog, as we all know, isn't a very good game, and considering this is the build up to what we got, yeah, it's kind of disappointing. Moving swiftly onto Team Rose, this consists of Amy Rose, Cream the Rabbit, and Big the Cat. Oh dear. But surprisingly, Big isn't actually that bad in this game, because his primary mechanic isn't fishing, but it is to be Cream and Amy's Big Daddy almost, I guess. I don't know. I mean, that's actually kind of worse because they're both kids, but yeah, whatever. But anyways, Team Rose's story just is a waste of time. It just involves Amy, Big, and Cream going on a search for something they want, and it's basically the easy mode of the game. So if you guys have any, little cousins or whatever that want to play this game, just put them on Team Rose's story, and I guess they can easily play it without raging too much and breaking your controllers. So yeah, Team Rose's story is just an absolute waste of space. Now we have Team Chaotix's story, arguably the most important. The reason why Team Chaotix's story is arguably the most important in the game is because their story sets up the final story of the game. Because once you reach the ending, you find out who the man behind the walkie-talkie is, and when the final story begins, we get more intellect on why, he was where he was, and why he was doing what he was doing. So if we didn't play through this story, or should say, if you didn't play through this story, then you would have no idea why the final story occurs the way it does. So props to Team Chaotix' story for actually doing something unlike Team Rose's story, but it's a shame their gameplay is the worst in the whole game. Their gameplay is, based on missions. You have to go through each stage with either collecting something, doing something, or just reaching the goal very plain and simple if the devs feel nice, but that's very rare. So yeah, you're going to have quite a tough time playing this, or it's just going to last quite a while, which is a very bad thing. And as well, something to talk about is the level length. Each of these stages can last up to 10 minutes in Team Sonic's story, which is kind of atrocious, I won't lie. Team Dark's can last up to 14 minutes. Team Rose can be over in like 3 minutes. And then Team Chaotix, it just depends on how lucky you get or if you know the stage inside and out. So it's kind of luck based on how fast you'll finish the stage. Sometimes skill, it doesn't really matter. Something that turns a lot of people away from this game is the fact that you have to play through every level 4 times. Not for the A rank or whatever, but because every team plays through the same level, but sometimes they're structured differently, sometimes they're a bit harder, or sometimes they're just a pain in the ass. So the repetition in this game is at a maximum, but it can make for replay value, I guess. But once you complete every level with every A rank, you can go back and do the mission mode, which will allow you to play through the stage again with a different objective to get another A rank to 100% the game. So the replay value in this game is actually quite good, but at the same time, if you don't fancy playing through every stage a million times, then you're not going to be a big fan of it. But, I mean, Sonic Adventure 2 did that, but no one's complaining, just saying. Anyways, so each stage, again, like I said, is split up into different sections. You've got the Act 1, Act 2, then Boss. And just to describe them briefly, Seaside Hill and Ocean Palace, 2 really good intro stages, with the boss being Egg Hawk, being a nice, easy, fresh start to the game, and something nice for beginners. Next up, you have Grand Metropolis and Power Plant, 2 undoubtedly iconic levels in the game, and one of them being very good, and the other one being just alright, I guess. Then you've got the boss being a rival battle against Team Rose, and it's shit. Then you've got Casino Park, I believe it's called. I've not played this for a while now, actually. But yeah, the Casino Park and Bingo Highway. And they are not bad levels, I guess. They're just a little bit annoying. People say they're really bad because you can't control yourself at all. But again, I can control myself perfectly fine while playing it. So I don't know what you guys have been playing, but whatever. So it's not difficult at all. It's just a little bit tedious at times, I guess you could say. And then the boss fight is Robot Storm, which is basically just a robot horde that you have to destroy, and it's pretty easy. After that, you've got Rail Canyon and Bullet Station. In my opinion, the 2 worst combo levels in the game, because the rail switching in this game can sometimes put you at ease, or should I say at edge, because it might not work sometimes. Sometimes you'll just go flinging off the rail, which is a very bad thing, and you'll just lose your momentum every now and then, and the level just slows down to a halt. But the boss, however, Albatross, is pretty fun. I quite enjoy it myself. Not a lot of people enjoy it, but I really like it. After that, you've got Frog Forest and Lost Jungle. These 2 levels are very beautiful levels with a really nice score to accompany them. And Lost Jungle has easily the best chase sequence in any Sonic game. Fuck you, Gun Truck. And also, as well, they are difficult levels, I'll give them that. But again, the spectacle just really fits the mood. Everything's really good about this level. But then the boss fight is a boss fight against Team Dark, and it's shit. All the rival battles are shit, just saying. After that, you have yourselves Hang Castle and Mystic Mansion. Hang Castle is alright, but Mystic Mansion, depending on which story you play it with, I believe it's a pretty decent level. And the final section is not only intimidating and gets your heart racing, but also looks really fucking cool. And then the final pair of levels, the boss fight was another Robot Storm, and it's harder than the previous one, but still pretty easy. And the final pair of levels are some of the best pair of levels I've ever seen in a Sonic game ever. You've got Egg Fleet, a fast-paced, high-altitude run around on top of Eggman's flying armada as you smash through it, destroy the ships, and beat the crap out of the robots. It's really, really fun and exhilarating. And then after that, you have my favourite zone in the game, Final Fortress. Why do I love Final Fortress? Well, the atmosphere, the music, and most of all, it just feels like an epic final level, and that's what it is. It's brilliant. I love Final Fortress so much, and I'm just hoping they will bring it back in a future game. But then the boss fight, Egg Emperor, is easily the hardest default boss fight in the game. I was saying that it's probably the hardest boss fight in the whole game, and it's a decent boss fight at that. But other than that, it's nothing worth gushing about, to be honest. Now the rest of the video is going to be talking about the final story of the game, which obviously is spoiler territory. So if you want my score on Sonic Heroes right now, I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. It is almost a masterpiece. Why am I giving it such a high score? Is it nostalgia? Mainly, yes. No, I'm joking. I think Sonic Heroes is the perfect blend of beauty, fun, and heartwarming. The story, while cheesy and for kids, I just can't help but get my head around it. It's just such a brilliant story. It's so fun, and I can just easily just follow along with it. It's nothing edgy like the previous game was, and I just love the light-hearted tone. And then as well, the graphics are fantastic for its time, and it still looks pretty good today. The voice acting as well is the best it's ever been in the Sonic series, and I really want this cast back, like seriously. Even if we can't get Drummond back, at least bring back some of the characters, because Scott Dreyer as Knuckles is just such a fantastic choice. He is Knuckles. I'm not too sure about William Corkery as Tails though. That's a little bit meh in my opinion. That's the only meh voice. Maybe Charmy. But then as well, just the rest of it, everything's just really fun, and I can't help myself but just sit down and play this game every now and then simply because of how fun it is. But if you guys want to know what I think about the special stages, I think they're fine. You don't have to mash the button, so you won't have a dead button. You can just hold it, switch to the power character, hold the button, and you're done. That's it. The special stages are easy, probably too easy, and there's nothing wrong with them at all. But anyways, to the final story.
Then who was it? Who locked you up here for trying to conquer the world? It was...
So it turns out Eggman isn't the real villain, but he was the one responsible for creating the real villain. And if you watch the intro cutscene, chances are you're going to know who the real villain is, you know, because it gives us a silhouette. But it doesn't look like who you think it is at first. In fact, it is a new version.
All living things kneel before your master.
Neo Metal Sonic is our villain, and he's pretty much God. Well, fuck me. So this is our true villain, Neo Metal Sonic, an advanced version of the original Metal Sonic, capable of transforming himself into a monster capable of destroying the world. This is truly Eggman's best creation, and it's a shame we don't see this Metal Sonic ever return ever again. Also as well, can we just talk about Metal Sonic's voice for a minute? Why don't we have him being voiced again? I mean, yeah, we don't have Drummond to voice him, but that is just the best Metal Sonic voice I've ever heard. It's so good. Anyways, we all rendezvous here with Eggman as he tells us that our chances are slim even with the Chaos Emeralds, but Sonic being the cocky little bastard he is, he says he's going to be able to do it no problem. But because this is a game about friendship, Tails and Knuckles has to come with him. And does this mean we are going to see Hyper Knuckles and Super Tails again? Well, we're going to have to just wait and find out, because we know we're going to see Super Sonic. But this part here, this just gets us hyped up now if you know what could be coming. You know, it's just so hype. Jeez, I'm getting buzzed. Anyways, moving on to the actual boss fight, we use Team Roll's Chaotix and Doc to hold off Metal Madness, as his first form is called, while Sonic, Tails and Knuckles get together their shit so they can become Super. The boss fight isn't difficult at all, but it is very intimidating with the music and also the look of this fucker. Like, seriously, this is not a thing for kids. You go from a light-hearted story to this shit, like, what? But anyways, yeah, the boss fight is easy, so let's just skip. So as Metal Sonic has a spasm in pain, he decides to detach his claws and turn them into wings, so he detaches from the egg base, takes flight to the skies in one final attempt to destroy the world. But obviously your boys Sonic, Tails and Knuckles, they aren't even touched yet, so they're gathered together to form Team Super Sonic. Hyper, Knuckles and Super Tails are returning, bro! What the fuck is this? I think the game developers just forgot about Tails and Knuckles super forms, but I guess they do need the Super Emeralds for that, so... I mean, I guess it makes sense, but at the same time, that's very disappointing. Like, we get Super Sonic, and what do these two get? Bubbles. Yeah, but that's not going to take away from the epicness of this final boss fight. Good lord, look at these! Oh, Jesus. Right, okay. The final boss song, What I'm Made Of, is by far one of the best final boss songs I've ever heard in a video game. It's jam-packed with action, joy, and it's just so fun. But what you have to do is you have to chase down Metal Sonic, fill up your Team Blast meter as he throws his weapons at you and dips down below the clouds to pick up a warship from Eggman's base to throw at you. So all you have to do is charge up your Team Blast meter and just absolutely wreck this bitch. Team Blast is the only way you can hurt Metal Sonic here. So you have to play relatively strategically because his attacks fly at you like crazy, and if you don't do the right attack you are going to pretty much die. The boss fight isn't hard, but it looks, sounds and feels amazing to play, and I swear to God this is one of the best Sonic final bosses I've ever seen. Is it better than Perfect Chaos? No. Is it better than the Bio Lizard? Yes. This Metal Overload is fantastic. Honestly, I'm just getting goosebumps watching this. Anyways, 5 Team Blasts later and Metal Sonic comes crashing down through the clouds into the ground, knowing that we have successfully defeated him.
That was pretty tough. Too bad it's all over. For you!
I love that line.
It's no use. But why can't I defeat you?
Because we're Sonic Heroes. Sonic! Anytime you want a rematch, just let me know. I'll be waiting.
Hey Sonic, wait up! Sorry to leave like this, but I can't let my Sonic get away. Good luck, Hero!
Sonic sure has his hands full.
I guess I'm out of here too. I think I'll go hunt for someone else's.
She never gives up, does she? Oh, no, you don't. Wait!
Guess that's it for this case.
Guess so.
But what about our money?
Man, I almost forgot. That slime ball!
All right! Our next adventure awaits us, so there's no time to waste. Yeah! We're Sonic Heroes! What goes up must come down.
And ending on that is Sonic Heroes. I am covered in goosebumps right now, and I just feel like crying with nostalgia because this was my first ever game. So yes, I'm biased towards Sonic Heroes. Yes, I have a lot of nostalgia for it. But either way, if I just try and remove all that as possible, I still love this game to death for its story and its gameplay. I love this game so much, it's amazing. It's one of the most underrated titles I've ever played, and the fact that more people can't pick up on this game's quality and they are too busy looking at its flaws and saying it's worse than Sonic Adventure 2. You know, you just need to open your eyes and look at the positives of this game. It's fantastic. This game is part of a lot of people's childhood that I know. And again, it's part of a lot of people's childhood that I don't know. The game is loved by millions of people, and I can see why. I love this game myself, and if it was ever to be remastered, I think I just end up dying of a heart attack. I'd be that excited if that's how it works, but other than that, this has been my Sonic retrospective view on Sonic Heroes. Thank you all for watching. I love this game just as much as you guys. I'm sorry about that, but I can't help it. This game has a very, very safe place and a soft spot in my heart, and it will until the day I die. But regardless, thank you all for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next video of mine. Take care and peace out.